Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this, our fifth session, the first non-nursing session. Thank you for your patience. We apologize for starting just a little bit late this afternoon, but I hope you are ready, and you're ready. Welcome to those of you here in Zoomland. Please remember to ensure you're joining with your correct name, your full name as you registered, so we can mark you present or not. Please ensure that you are registered for the session and that you should be here, or we'll have you in the waiting room. For those of us who are joining us over on YouTube, welcome, welcome. Please remember to type your name in the chat. And so we're starting off a little bit different today because I have very exciting news to share before I hand over to our moderator today. Please permit me to go ahead and share my screen for 2 seconds. We usually start out with a little quiz, but we're not just doing the quiz today. We are going here. It's Mary Seacole Day. Woohoo! Let me read the exciting news for you. So though it was sent late, the Governor General has declared today Mary Seacole Day. Go for us nurses. So I'm putting it on the screen, and I know you may not be able to see it, but it says a whole lot of whereas, but it is whereas in the service of Mary Jane Seacole Order of Merit as a healer, doctress, and nurse in the treatment of the sick and the wounded in Jamaica, Panama, England, and the Crimea. She has been lauded, and whereas her exploits and contribution have been internationally acknowledged, celebrated, and awarded, we go down to the last. And whereas in the time of COVID, where healthcare professionals have been similarly challenged, it is an appropriate time to mark her birth, life, legacy, and example. So now I, Patrick Linton Allen, member of the Order of the Nation, Knight, Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica, he hereby proclaims the 23rd of November 2021 as Mary Seacole Day, and he urges all of us to join with the Mary Seacole Foundation to observe this day in a diverse way and laying of a wreath, including recognizing her contribution to nursing and celebrating her birthplace. So woohoo for us nurses. We are celebrating Mary Seacole today. I just wanted to start with that and share. Let us celebrate our wonderful, wonderful Mary Seacole. Awesome. So before we hand over to our moderator, who's ready for the 2 questions that we're going to ask today? Everybody ready? Everybody over on YouTube land ready? Because you're going to know if you know it or you're going to know if you don't know it. Everybody ready? You're supposed to have paper if you need it. If you don't need the paper, moderator and presenter can't answer. Let me just put that out there. And this is what I'm expecting to see either in YouTube or in the chat over here. Everybody is ready? All right, this is it. Question 1. Name 3 other online platforms that we can use except Zoom. So now you're going to hear later if you know it or you don't. And can you type in the chat, how do you change your name on the Zoom platform? Those are the 2 questions. Remember, you only get 1 minute, So the 1 minute, actually you get a little extra time today because I didn't even set the 1 minute. But 1 minute is ready right now. So go. The chat should start pinging. Name 3 other online platforms that we've been using for all these meetings, webinars, and seminars except Zoom. And then how do you change your name on the Zoom platform? Time is going. Time is going.
Protest.
No protesting, no answering. No, unfair. Unfair advantage. We do fairness over here. Come on, people in the chat. I'm not seeing yet. Nobody wants the prize. All right, the times are going. Only 30 seconds left. 3 other online platforms except Zoom. And how do you change your name on the Zoom platform? Because we may or may not, I won't give it away, be hearing a few of these things later. But if you know it, let's see it. All right. I see a few answers pinging up here. When we get over to this point, we're gonna be checking to see who gave the 3 correct answers for question 1 and the correct information for question 2 in the chat. All right, so time is up and we are done with the sharing. All right, so for this afternoon, I'm going to be handing over to our moderator. She's Mrs. Kathy Ann Thomas Elborn, and she's joining us from the Twin Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. She's our Publicity and Communications Committee Chair. And over to you, Madam Kathy Ann, for this evening session.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and it is also a pleasure to see you all here participating once again in our webinar series. Without much ado, I will now introduce our presenter for today, Miss Michelle Stewart Mccoy. Miss Michelle Stewart Mccoy, host of the RJR Spanglish feature, recently joined the CETL Mona in a full-time capacity as the university's faculty educational developer. Previously, she was an associate professor and distance learning coordinator at UTech Jamaica. Michelle is an educator, a researcher, an e-learning enthusiast. She has more than 30 years experience working at the secondary and tertiary level at the tertiary level, of education locally, regionally, and internationally. Her research interests includes game-based learning, learner profiling, and online learning environments. It is now my pleasure to welcome Ms. Michelle Mccoy.
Thank you very, very much, Kathy Ann. I hope I can call you Kathy Ann. Before I begin my presentation, I just want to say congratulations. It's great news that today is Mary Seacles Day. I also want to say welcome to everybody who's here, and to say I have a confession before we start. When Cheryl had contacted me and asked for my bio, I said to her, can't we use the one I gave last year? And she reminded me that it was April. And I said, same thing, use it. When I heard Kathy Ann reading it just now, I forgot that then I had just joined UE, and therefore I should have removed that part. But I'm still relatively new to the university, and therefore I want to say thank you very much, Kathy Ann, and thank you for the invite. I will be talking to you today about online platforms, but more specifically, video conferencing platforms. So we're going to be looking at that, looking at what they are, what are their main features, how we can use them for meeting purposes, but also for teaching purposes. And then we will look at some etiquette and some basic etiquette and some tips and tricks that we can utilize. Now, of course, the presentation is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more that one can do with video conferencing platforms. So if you have any questions based on anything that I've said that you want to ask and we have time, please raise your hands and we will go. So please allow me to share my screen while we begin. So I am going to be sharing my entire screen, and then I am going to go into slideshow mode. Okay, so let me begin. All right. I am just shifting around a few icons. You know how it is with Zoom. So I'm just shifting around the icon so I can see better. All right, so I am looking, as I said, at the whole matter of the online platform, and more specifically, video conferencing platforms. All right, so I'm going to start out by looking at video conferencing platforms, and I have a question for you. So Cheryl asked you about different platforms. I am asking you, can you recognize the icons here for a number of common online platforms? These are video conferencing platforms. And if you can, raise your hand, let me hear. I think we have persons on YouTube, so I'll ask you, Cheryl, to check the YouTube chat if anybody has them. So, all right, I was muted. Can anybody name the icons here of these popular video conferencing platforms? If you can raise your hand. And Cheryl, you can help me out with that. Do you recognize any of them? All right, I see some hands. Chanel, go ahead, please.
Skype and Zoom.
Oh, you recognize Skype and Zoom. Okay, I see Stacey Ann. Stacey Ann Williamson.
Yes, I was going to say Skype as well and Zoom.
Only those two you recognize? Is there anybody else? All right, I'm not seeing everybody in the participants list.
Microsoft Teams.
You see Teams, which one? All right, so I hear Skype and Zoom, but I'm not hearing which one is Skype and which one is Zoom.
Go to webinar.
Which one is the go-to? I don't know.
Middle of the bottom, the middle of the second
This
row.
one? Uh-huh. All right, and which one is Teams? Somebody mentioned Teams.
Upper right.
Upper right, okay.
Microsoft Teams is the one with the T.
Right, very good.
The green one with the white camera, I think that is Google Meet.
Google Meet, uh-huh.
WebEx is the circle. WebEx is the, what is this? My right lower corner.
All right, my right as well. Uh-huh. All right, what about this one? Shame on you, the university uses it with its students. This is, so let us look at them. Okay, so we have Blackboard Collaborate, Skype, Google Meet, there's Teams, Zoom, the GoToMeeting, and the Cisco WebEx. So you did exceptionally well. You should applaud yourself. So these are common, not all of them. These are a couple of the popular web conferencing platforms. Now, most web conferencing platforms have basically the same set of features. You have some which have more extensive type of features, and then you have some which have fewer. It also is dependent on whether or not your version is a free version or a paid version. And even if it is a paid version, it depends on the type of account or the version that you have in the paid version. So when it comes on to Zoom specifically, there you will find where some persons say that it has 46 different types of features. Some say that it has as many as 58, but Zoom comes feature heavy. So it has a number of features that you can use when you're engaging your participants or when you're hosting your meeting. So what are some of these? Well, we know that there is the free and the paid version. And the free version is a pretty decent version in terms of the features that you get. And then, of course, the paid version has different tiers. So you have different types of paid version. So it makes it affordable if you are interested in buying an account for you to use with your students. Then, of course, it has a feature called the remote control. Remote control is where if somebody is sharing a screen, you can ask or give control of your device and they can assist you. And I'll test it with somebody, because although this is a webinar and it's a presentation, I'm trying to make it as interactive as possible so you get a little bit of hands-on as we go along. All right. Then, of course, you know that there is a chat feature. most of these features that I'm showing, because these are the more common ones, are features that you ought to know about or have used. So we have the chat feature, we have the screen sharing feature, which I am currently using. We have the video or the camera aspect, which again I am using. There is the audio, which is the and activates your microphone. Then we have waiting rooms. Waiting rooms are very good, especially if you want to vet or verify who the participants are going to be in your session. Recordings, you can record your sessions. You can record to the cloud. So there you get a certain amount of space where you can record your meetings or your sessions to the cloud, download them later or share the link with your participants. And then you can also record to your computer. Okay, when you record to your computer, you get access after the meeting has ended and the video is converted. And when the recording is done on the computer, by default, you tend to get a Zoom video. And if you had activated your chat, you also get a script which has all the chat that takes place in your session. Oh, I said remote control like already. There is file sharing. Did you know that you can share files while you are not screen sharing now, actually dropping files in your chat. So you can have a session. Let us say you have an image that you want to share with everybody who's there, but you don't necessarily want to put it on the screen. You want them to have access. You can share files in Zoom. And you can do polls. Polls are great for interaction, for getting information on the spot, for diagnostic purposes, for wrapping up purposes. So you can also utilize the polling feature. And breakout rooms are good if whether or not you're having meetings or if you're having classes. Breakout rooms are also good because it allows you to set up rooms so that you can have smaller groups engage in discussion before coming up back to the main room. We have the reactions, and I saw where some persons were using the reactions. So you can smile, you can clap, you can put congratulations, whatever is there. You can raise your hand, and we tend to say, especially for teaching purposes, encourage your students, your participants to use the hand raising feature. And we have the whiteboard where you can write on the board and different persons can write if you need to explain something very quickly, show a diagram, draw a formula, something like that. And you can also have your students, your participants, your meeting members, other faculty members participate in the whiteboard use. So these are just a few, not all of them, just a few of the more common features that come with Zoom. Now, because I am using Zoom, it is a little bit difficult and I'm only using one monitor. It is a little bit difficult for me to show you some of the things that I would want to show you. So in the absence of that, I have done a screenshot of it, but because most of us, well, we are all on either a laptop or, well, it doesn't matter what device you're on, you should be able to see some of these things. And as I go through, if you can, I'm going to encourage you to also test it and see what happens. So this is our interface, and your picture, if your camera is off, will appear in the middle. If there are other participants in the room, of course, you know that you will see their pictures if they have their pictures up, or you will see their videos if the video is turned on. If they don't have a picture, there will be a silhouette, okay? And if their names have been put in, you will see the name. If not, you will see the name of a device, or you will see whatever numbers for the phone or something like that. That will give you an indicator that somebody is in. Now, I remember Cheryl asking, how do you change your name? We're going to do that in a few, but let me just go through the interface. Okay, At the bottom left, you will see the microphone icon. This is where you mute or you unmute yourself. The arrow beside allows you to check a number of things. So depending on the version of Zoom that you have, you can see where you can change the audio type. You have the mic that you're using. You can change your speaker if you have different speakers. You can test your speakers. You can test your microphone. And okay, I see somebody is going wild with the whiteboard. So somebody's marking up on my screen. And you can do a number of things. You have the audio settings as well, where you can work there. Okay, the next thing is your video. If you turn, well, mine is off in the picture, it is off now. If I want to turn it on, you know that it is off because the camera has a little red mark throughout it. To turn it on, you simply click it. You'll get a preview of you in the window, and then of course you will see that the red line that went through the camera is now off. If you click the drop down beside the camera, what you will see, are a number of things. You'll see the type of camera you're using. If you have another software installed which allows you to switch between cameras, you will see a listing of the different cameras and you can decide which one you want to use. You can also choose your virtual background here, or look at video filters, or look at video settings. And we'll come to this in a few, okay? Beside that, you'll see security. Now, this is because I took a screenshot of my Zoom account, which is a paid Zoom account, and I am the owner, so I'm seeing a number of other things. I am going to continue by using my Zoom so that I can talk about some of the features which are not activated here, not at all enabled. All right. Where participants, you'll see participants. Participants will tell you how many persons are in your session. If you're the only person in the room, it will say 1. If there are other persons in the room, it will give you a number. So right away, you have a clear idea of how many persons are in the room, including you and any other presenter that you may have. In order to get more information, you would have to click on participants. So you click on the icon, and then you would see the names of everybody who is in the room. You would see whether or not their microphone is muted or is active, whether or not their video is active or is inactive. Inactive simply means that it has the red mark through it, okay? If you scroll over each, you'll realize that you get the more option or the mute option. So you can mute yourself if your mic is open. And if you click on more for any other participant, you can pin. And we'll talk about pinning in a few. Or if you are the owner and you are the host, you can do other things. You can mute the person if the person is talking or the person's mic is open. You can assign a role. So there are other things that you can do. It all depends on the type, the version that you have, okay? If I'm going too fast, or if you need to jump in, just raise your hand or type something in the chat and I will slow down or I will pause to acknowledge and answer accordingly. All right. Now, beside your participants, I have polls. Now, if you have activated polling on the web-based aspect, so when you go to zoom.com, if you have activated polls, it will turn up here. And this is where you can easily click right here and make adjustment to polls that you have created before. You can activate your polls and so forth. So this is where it is done. And the chat, I think you're very familiar with the chat because we have been using the chat. When you click on chat, it takes you into the chat. You can see who has been talking. You can make a response to everyone. If you're going to talk, you'll realize that it says everyone. If you want to talk to one person or in particular, you simply click the drop down arrow by everyone and you will see the names, the list of names of everybody, and you click on the person with whom you want to have that private conversation with. Okay. Now, if you are a Zoom host, you can make some changes to the chat, meaning you can determine whether or not you will enable private chats. And I suspect that if you're having students who you need to be participating and focusing, you may want to turn it off. But it really depends on what it is you're doing and why you would want to do so. So you have the option. In the chat as well, you will also see two other icons. So right to the right of everyone on the right side, you will see like a little paper, a sheet of paper. If you click on that, that allows you to upload files. So remember when I started out by saying that you can share files, you can do it here. And you can share from your Dropbox, from OneDrive, from Google Drive, from Box, which is as a cloud storage platform as well, from SharePoint, which comes with Microsoft, or from your computer. So if you click on your computer, it searches your computer, you look for the file, you upload it. Okay, so that is one thing that you can do right here. So one of the things that Zoom has done is that it has allowed for integration of several other platforms within its software. To the right of that little paper, you will see an emoticon. All right, so if you click on that, it allows you to use any of these little emojis to write to somebody and to include them. So if you use WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, you will realize that you have these little emojis that you can use when you or you don't even have to say anything. You can just use it alone because it displays or represents your emotions. And by default, you have a set, but if you click at the top, you can move across and you'll see smileys and people, you'll see animals and nature, you'll see food and drink. So there are a number of emojis that you can use when you are engaging with your chat. Okay, still continuing, you have the share screen. Okay, now, share screen allows you to share your screen with your participants. So they don't have the file, they're just simply looking at the file. And with share screen, I'll take a look at it in just a few. Share screen gives you different options. So you can share an entire screen, you can share a part of a screen, you can do so many different things here. Beside that, you have your record. And I said you can record to the cloud or to your computer. Then you have your breakout rooms. Then you have your reactions. Sometimes you get, I don't know where the reaction button is. It's at the bottom right of your screen most times. And then you have apps. In 2021, Zoom introduced apps for Zoom. And what it does is that it integrates a number of apps within Zoom. So you remember once upon a time when I would say, okay, I want you to go to Mentimeter. And when you go to Mentimeter, you will do this. What Zoom did was Zoom brought Mentimeter into the platform. So you engage with Mentimeter right here and then. It is a beautiful concept of adding engagement and interaction, and there are a number of them. I don't know if it is enacted here. I'm not seeing it here, so we can't test it here, but it is something worth exploring, especially if you use Zoom for teaching purposes, or if you are using it for meetings where you need to have an icebreaker or you need to have something apart from just a poll, you can consider looking at the apps. To ensure that you have the apps though, you have to, Zoom did an update earlier this year, so you would have to ensure that you have the latest version of Zoom to see the apps. All right. And then of course, we're familiar with leaving. Are there any questions now that I have done the basic of the interface? And as I said before, most of these things you should know, but if you didn't, you have picked up a thing or two here today. And if you knew it before, it's good. It's a good reminder. Any comments, any questions here before we move on? Go ahead, Sadoya.
Yes, it's Sadoya. I
Okay.
wanted to ask about, you were mentioning something about the chat where we should look for something looking like a page, and
Yes.
we would click on it and then we would be able to upload files. I'm wondering
Yes.
if it's available for cell phones, because I'm looking at it on my cell phone, but I'm not seeing it.
On the cell phone, I think it looks a little different. I did not focus on the mobile, but I can, at the end, I can do a little quickie with the phones if you're using the phones. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, but you can upload files from your phones as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. All right, so any other questions? Now, this is the share screen. And Cheryl, I want to ask a quick question. Is it okay? Let me just see if I can take this scribbling off the whiteboard that was put up. I think I may have to wait a little bit. All right. Is it how much of interaction I can go ahead with? So I'd love to have persons work with me as I go through. So I can have volunteers and we go through this. I think we have time. Yes, we have time. So is it okay with you?
Go right ahead, Michelle.
All right, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, now for those of us who are on laptops and desktops, I want you to do me a favor, please. So you know how to change your name. You go to participants, you go to where your name is, you go to more, and then you scroll across to where it says rename. Okay, because a name or a set of numbers would be there. So please, I just want us all to just go in and put something in a name. Put a Miss or a Mr. Put a title in just to show the renaming process. All right, so I am just going to add settle on mine, and then when you're finished, you click OK. And even if you're on a mobile device, you can do this as well. So put a title in front of your name, right? Thank you, Sadoya. I see that you did yours. And while we are doing this as members of this particular session, when you have your students or other members, you know, if you want them to change, you just walk them through very quickly. Say for this particular session or for my sessions, I would like to see your right name, your first name, your surname. So do that right away and don't just simply assume that they know what to do. Just give them a quick walkthrough. Say, go to participants, look for your name, scroll across to see more, then you will see these things. And the same applies to uploading a profile picture. Because we suffer from bandwidth issues, internet data, and all of those issues, you don't necessarily want to insist that videos remain on at all time. But it would be good, it would be very useful if you can see who you're looking at. So encourage your participants also, whether before your meeting starts or before your sessions, or right in the first couple of minutes, say, we're going to upload, I'd love for you to have your pictures up, or for my class, I need to be able to recognize the voice with the picture, you know, whatever reason it is. And you walk them through how they can upload their pictures. And it's the same thing as changing the name. Tell them to click on participants, go across to where they see the name, move across to where it says more, and then they will see profile picture where they can click on edit profile picture or add a profile picture, look for a picture, crop it as they see fit, and then click save. And as simple as that, they would get the steps. Everybody would be doing it, or most persons, and therefore you would be in a better position where you can say, okay, this person is this person and this person is this person, and I recognize, you know, that sort of thing. So it's one of the things that we are doing here now as members, but we also should encourage our participants, especially if our participants are students that we're teaching, to upload a picture and to ensure that they have their names. All right. So that is for the participants. For the chat, I don't necessarily want you to share a file now, but you can go through the steps of sharing a file on your own. You simply go into the chat, make sure that you see that little paper, you know, it looks like a sheet of paper, it's the file icon. You click it, and I tend to have most things on my computer, so I usually go down to my computer and I look for the file that I want to share. I click on it, and then I am actually looking for a file to share. So I click on it, I click open, or I double click, and then it says that it is there. So I just shared an image, which is the Omega Kappa virtual background. Okay. So, and I shared it with everyone. If I only wanted to share it with one particular person, I would ensure that I click the drop down, select the person's name first, and then I share. Okay. Sharing files come in handy, especially if you are going to say have breakout groups and you want to share a file with a particular group before, you can easily do so right there and then. All right. Now, this screen that I have here is not the screen that we're supposed to be looking at. This is the screen that I want, the share screen. When we're going to share, and I'm sure you know that you can share a number of things in share screen of a number of things. But when you go to share a screen, the first thing that you do when you click on share screen is that it brings you to the basic page. You will realize that there are 3 tabs. So you have basic, you have advanced, and you have files. Now, we tend to use the basic because it is the easiest one to use because it has what you need right there. If you click on the left, the top left, which says screen, it automatically allows your entire screen and everything to be seen, to be shared. So if you are on your desktop, it will show your desktop. If you're going to your email, it will show your email, and so forth. So you have to be mindful if you're going to be using this, the first one, which is the screen, because it shares everything. If, however, you have, let's say, a PowerPoint open, or you have a web page open, you can click on that and it only shares that particular tab. So if I click on PowerPoint, you only see the PowerPoint, you see nothing else. So I can quickly go into my email and you wouldn't know because you're only seeing the PowerPoint that I have shared. So this is where that happens. When you click on share, you'll see basic by default, basic comes up and you'll get these. You also have the advanced tab. Now, advanced gives you a little more complexity, if you will. You can share your PowerPoint as a virtual background, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. You can share a portion of the screen, which means that you get a measure and you have to adjust it accordingly based on the screen that you want. But know that if there is something that is outside of the screen, your participants will not see that. So you have to ensure that whatever it is that you're lining it up for is well aligned so that it captures just that. Of course, you have audio and you have video that you can share here. I didn't do files, but if you were to click on files, it takes you to cloud storage sites. So you can share files from Dropbox. You can share your screen from OneDrive, from Box, from those sites. All right. And all right, just before I go here, let me just do the sharing for you. So if you're going to share, and I'm going to show you a share. So I'm going to share, and I am going to share using advanced, and I'm going to use the PowerPoint as a virtual background. Now, why am I doing this? Sometimes you have a presentation and you want the presentation to be on the screen and not necessarily having to go and share screen and then look for it and so forth. If you share your PowerPoint is the background and you can go through accordingly. So I'm going to show you how that works. When you click on share, or if you're already sharing, you can click on new share. You click on the advanced tab, and then you click on PowerPoint as virtual background. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to click share. When I do that, it takes me to a browsing window where I will look for the PowerPoint that I want to share. So I have a PowerPoint that I had put together as a sample. What you'll realize right away is that you see the PowerPoint and then you see a little image of me at the bottom right. I can move that image at the bottom right and I can put it wherever I want to, wherever it makes it easier for me to go through the slides without having to block any information. So you can simply move that around. How did I do that? When you share your PowerPoint, you'll see a preview of you, and when you click on you, it then gives you some boxes. So you can move yourself, you can make yourself a little smaller, or you can make yourself bigger depending on what it is that you want to do and how much. So I'll just put myself right here in the corner. And then what happens next is that you get a little window that allows you to move through the slides. So while you are talking to your participants, you'll realize that you can easily say, okay, now I am going to be doing this, going to be doing that, and your picture is right there in the bottom right. Now, in order for your picture to be there, your video to be there, your video must be on. If I stop the video, what happens is that I disappear and I can simply move through the presentation just the same. Okay, so that is what happens if you share your screen using your PowerPoint as a background. It comes in handy, but again, you'll have to think about things like what kind of slide I have, the kind of background. You don't want to morph in there too much. You don't want to be hidden, so you have to think about those basic things when you are going through. All right, so let me go back to my share screen. Let me go back to, all right, so here we are. Now, video settings. This is a video conferencing platform, and therefore you will realize that your video settings means a lot. In your video settings, there are several things that you can do. One of the things that the experts will tell you is that you should ensure that your lighting is quite good. And they will tell you that ensure that the light is in front of you, not behind you, because if the light is behind you, it casts a shadow. And if the room is too dark, or if your setting is too dark, what will happen is that it will give a very pixelated, a very shadowy look. So in your video settings, you can actually make some adjustments. So you can mirror your video. So when you mirror your video, it flips. I am using a virtual background. I did not mirror my video because if I did, the Sigma would be turned the other way around. Okay, so I have to be mindful that each time I turn my head this way, it's going in the opposite direction, because when you mirror, it gives you exactly how you are looking at yourself there. All right, so you can mirror your video. You can touch up your appearance, and I'll go into that in a little bit. You can touch up your appearance. But I would say use it very, very judiciously, because if you over touch up yourself, you look less than human. What I am more interested in is the part that says adjust for low light. All right, and I'm going to show you how that works in a little bit, but adjust for low light is excellent if you are in an area where the lighting isn't very good, or if you don't have that front light to help you to project the image properly on the screen. All right, and then we have your backgrounds, video backgrounds and filters. So I'm going to stop sharing a little bit now so that we can go through that, okay? So, before I start, I didn't see the apps here, so I took a print screen. When you go to apps would be at the bottom right of your Zoom, if you have it. You will have under my apps once you have used them. So these are the apps that I have used. I've used the timer with my students. I've used the Mentimeter and the Kahoot, and I've used the Ask Away. The Ask Away and the Kahoots are games, excellent, brilliant icebreakers that you can use. And then the Mentimeter allowed me to use a word cloud right there and then in Zoom. And I use my timer right there to have them know time is running out or when the time is up. When you go to discover, it gives you a listing from A to Z of all the Zoom apps that are available to you. And you can just scroll through and look for the ones that you're interested in and click on it and test it out. Okay, so I think that this is a great feature. As I said, the integration is a good idea. And this is something that you can consider. So just take a little time to look at it. It's not all fun and games. There are productivity tools there. There are organizational apps there, and you can take a look at that. All right. I'm going to stop sharing for a little bit, and I'm going to just have us work a bit on the whole matter of the video settings. All right. So I would like for us to go to your video settings. So where you have your video, where you either have your video icon, it would be off or on. There is a little arrow there. Do you all see the arrow? And this is where I want you to talk to me. Do you see the arrow?
No.
All right, so where you see your video icon, you don't see like a little up arrow?
I
I see it.
so I don't know if that is the reason why I'm not seeing it.
Oh yes, so yeah, the settings on the phone would be slightly different. Okay, so I'll come back to you with the phone. But if you're on a laptop or a desktop or even at a tablet, I believe, you would see that little up icon. So I heard some person saying, yes, they're seeing it. If you click on that, it gives you some options. So you'll see the type of camera you're using. You'll see choose virtual background, choose a video filter, video settings. I want you to click on video settings. All right. When you click on video settings, you will get a preview window of you. Do you see that? If your video is on, you will see that. I think even if your video is off, you'll still see that. So are you seeing a preview of yourself?
Yes, I am.
Beautiful. Now, if you click on mirror my image, you'll realize that it flicks the image, okay? So depending on the kind of background you're using, you probably don't want to mirror your image. Mirroring your image is ideal for me because then I know that when I move my head to the left, it is showing me moving it to the left and not the other way around. But if your background is one that has text, as this one does, you cannot use the mirror my image aspect, okay? The touch up my appearance, there's something called touch up my appearance. It's I don't know, well, I tend to have it off, but if you click on it, you'll realize that you have a little slider. If you move the slider to the right, the more you move it to the right is the more it Barbie dollies you. So it removes just about all your wrinkles and use it judiciously, all right? If you have to use it any at all. Adjust for low light. That is what I want you to pay attention to. So if you have lighting that is very poor, you can click in the adjust for low light. If you leave it as auto, it will do the automatic adjustments. If you put it on manual, you'll realize that you can move the lighting across to the extreme right, it becomes very bright. And I don't know if you're doing it, but you'll realize that the lighting changes dramatically. So you can manually adjust it, or you leave it on auto, and the computer will, based on the surrounding environment, make the adjustments that it sees as necessary. To the left, you will have other options. Okay, so all of these fall under your video options. And if you scroll down to where it says background and filters, this is where you change your background. You can put in your video, you can put in an image, or you can add your own image. If you have a green screen, some persons have a green screen, some people, you make a green screen. A green screen is simply having a green background. If you have a green screen, what the green screen does is that it allows the video to look more realistic. Let me show you what I mean. If I were using this background and I wanted you to see me using this background, this is what it would look like. I didn't select I have a green screen, so you'll realize that I move in and out. You know the story with green screens. If I went back in and I selected I have a green screen, what would happen is that you realize that all of those little things that were morphing in and out are gone. That is because I set up a green screen. Now, for my green screen, all I did was I got a sheet set that was green, pale green, and I put it behind me, and it did this. So it is something that if you're at home and you want to use a virtual background, you can simply set up a section behind you. So if you're in your bedroom, you can put the green sheet over the curtain if you're there, and then you select your virtual background, and it will look something like that. So it looks very real. I have a shadow behind me. I have my image that I found, and it looks as if I am actually in an office with a bookshelf there, and there's no morphing in and out. So it makes it more realistic, more high quality in terms of the video. So I'm just going back in and putting back the one that was there before. All right, so that's your video settings, and your video settings are quite useful, especially as I said, if you are going to be using a virtual background. If you have low light, you can have the computer adjust it. There is something else in there called video filters. All right, and video filters are for the fun aspect of it. So if you are having a meeting, you can probably use it for an icebreaker. You can use it just to show the capabilities of it. You can use it for particular presentations, depending on what it is you're doing. So if you go into video filter, what you will get are a number of options. So if I clicked on the different colors, it changes the color for me. If I click on, let's say, a camera, it gives me that idea that I'm using a camera lens. If I wanted to have what do you call this, a ribbon, it allows me to do that. If I wanted to get a TV look, something like this, to give a TV presentation, there is that. So you can introduce your participants, again, if your participants, especially if your participants are students, to these where they can test them out. All right. And then for those who have it enabled, there is a studio effect that allow you to touch up your eyebrows, put on a lip color, put on a mustache and a beard, but then that is for the aesthetics aspect of it. Okay. If you don't want any of these things, what you then do is simply click on none. This isn't something that would be used often. It would be used, again, depending on the kinds of presentations that you're doing and the type of participants that you have. All right. And for the reactions, I do believe that we all know how to use the reactions. So can you just click bottom right? You'll see reaction. You can raise your hand. You can put a tick, the green tick, to say that you're following, the X to say that you're not following. You can use any of those. So just put something up on the screen for me, please. The 3 dots mean that you have more, so you can put the 3 dots and put up on your screen. Now, these don't last for very long. Very good. I see them coming up. So these don't last for very long. I don't remember how long they last for, but they're up for a little while and then they disappear. So if you want to use that again, you can do so. Now, we can use these reactions for nonverbal purposes. So instead of opening,
Sprat.
so somebody's mic is open. So instead of opening your mic and saying something, you want a reaction, you can then put your thumbs up, put a smiley face, put a I love it kind of face. You can put the I'm following. And if you're presenting and you want to know, is everybody with me? You can then do that. Go ahead, Sodaya, please. Your hand is up. Or is that a reaction?
No, my hand is up.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. So just backtracking on the part that you were doing just now about the
Right.
background. I wanted to know, like, if you're a student and your lecturer has, access to all of these things, if when you're doing a presentation, you as the student also have access to these.
Once you have, yes. So once you have access to Zoom as a student and your teacher allows you to think, it's in your video settings. So yes, you would automatically, because you would also have to download Zoom as a student in order to join the session. So yes, you as a student have access.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Now, Sadoya, if you are a student and you're going to use a virtual background, or if you are the presenter, the teacher, and you want to just, your students are using, I think we need to be mindful of the kinds of background that we use. All right. So nothing that is too sensitive, nothing that is lewd, that kind of thing. So if you're a participant, you bear that in mind. If you are a facilitator, you help the students to say you can use their backgrounds, but these are some of the things that you need to remember when you're using them. All right?
Most definitely.
Okay,
Yes, thank you.
beautiful. All right, so I think that is it based on what I see here on the screen, and I've shown you how to do the share, the reactions, and so forth. So I can't do anything else here based on the options that I have. So I'm just going to jump back over to my presentation and continue. Are we seeing my screen again?
Yes, we are.
All right. Now I am going to continue, but I'm going to go into some tips and so forth. And there is a video that has audio. So what I would do, because I'm already sharing, I would click new share and I would ensure that I select share sound because I want you to hear when it comes onto the video. And because I'm playing a video, I would click optimize video clip, which would make the video quality a little better if the system, the computer recognizes that it's not the best quality. All right. So I am going to click back on share. And the last thing that I spoke about were the apps. All right. Now, moving on from the apps, I want to go into some basic etiquette. And the basic etiquette for it's Zoom that we're focusing on, but it's basic etiquette for any online platform, any video conferencing platform that we may be using. Okay, what are some of the basic things that we need to remember? All right, so if you look at this image here, do you find anything wrong with it? Open your mics and talk to me. Is there anything wrong with what is here?
Yes.
Go ahead, tell me.
Uh,
Um,
sounds like
in
Pastor having
the
trouble. the
Oh
connection.
no, your audio is your
With
audio
the
is
young lady,
can
we
somebody
can see
write in
in
the
the
chat?
background someone is apparently grooming themselves or maybe.
Your audio isn't very clear. It seems as if there is an internet issue. So you're coming across as very warbly. Sorry about that. But I think I heard something about somebody's grooming themselves in the background for one of them. So anybody else wants to share what it is you see wrong, if there's anything wrong?
In the chat, they're saying backgrounds crowded, child in the background, someone grooming themselves, someone
Right.
getting dressed in the background.
Okay. And also for the left image, it's a picture of a dog. You know, if you're in a meeting or in a class session, this shouldn't be the image that is on the screen. So let us look at what are some of the basic, and again, these are some things that these are reminders. And if you didn't know, it's a good way to just catch up. So always be prepared for your session. And when we say prepared for your session, what do we mean? We mean that, all right, let's move you out of the way. All right. It means that you're going to remove the distractions. So that the phone that is nearby, that is on the TV, that is on the radio, that is on the door open, and you're paying attention to what's going outside as much as is humanly possible, because I know that in some cases these are beyond our control. But as much as is humanly possible, remove the distractions. Okay. Turn your camera on if you need to. Okay. If you are in a setting, I know that some units, some organizations, some groups require your video to be on for obvious reasons. So if your camera needs to be on, turn it on. If you don't have a built-in camera, you have some cheap web cams that you stick it onto your computer or your desktop and your laptop or your desktop, and you plug it in. They're called plug and play devices. You plug it in, it automatically installs it, and you have your camera. So if you need to have your camera on, ensure that you have your camera. Make sure that you have your microphone or your headset. If you're using these, make sure that they're working, and don't wait until the meeting starts to check if it's working. Do so before the session starts. So we had a mic check and a video check and a file sharing check before we started today's session. This is something that you need to do before and practice it. Let it become a part of you. Okay. Ensure that you have reliable internet connection. Now, this is almost hilarious, but in the bigger scheme of things, if you have data on your phone and you're using your phone, make sure that you have enough data. Make sure that you have a network connection, that you're plugged into your computer. If the Wi-Fi is shaky, and if you know that you have a shaky Wi-Fi, ensure that you explain to your teacher if you're in that session, or if it's a session where your camera has to be on, just explain that the Wi-Fi is a little bit shaky and you may have to turn your camera off at certain points. All right. So as much as possible, ensure that you have that. And charge the phone, charge the laptop, ensure that you have the charger nearby. Okay. So ensure that you have your device that is charged. And if it is fully charged and not plugged in, you don't know what is likely to happen, ensure that you have the charger nearby. All right. Oh, well, there we go. Have your charger nearby. Make sure that you're online. Well, my mantra is if you can't be early, be on time. So ensure that you're early or you are on time for your session. So if you can't be on early, be early, be on time. And one way that you can help to remind you that you have a session is you set reminders in your phone for those of us who use phones. Set reminders on your computer for those of us who use computers. Okay. So write it down in a diary if you are the person who uses physical diaries. Update your calendar in your phone or on your computer so that you get the reminder. one of the things that I realize is that if the host is setting the meeting, the host can do it in such a way that it is also attached to the calendar, and then you would get a notification reminding you of the session. But even so, ensure that you do the backup on your end as well. Ensure that you name yourselves, you properly identify yourself, especially in the absence of face-to-face sessions. We need to ensure that we are still identifiable. So put your first name, put your surname, not your Galaxy phone name that is up, or yo mama or mama B or anything like that. Ensure that for very professional settings, for educational settings, for meeting purposes, that your first name and your surname is there. You can put your title if you want, that is not critical. Again, it depends on the setting in which you're operating, but ensure that your first name and your surname is there. And if you're going to put a photograph of yourself, because as I said, we have internet challenges, ensure that your photograph is a face shot, not the head back or the side or of a puppy. It must be of you. So it's a face shot. You can smile if you want, look pleasant, but ensure that it's something where we can identify you visually when you're putting that on. Okay. Now it is very easy when we're in meetings, especially when they're long, and sessions and webinars and presentations, to multitask, and you find yourself doing a million and other things. Try to be focused on what is happening. Okay. It's a sign of respect, and it also shows that you are interested in what is being said, and you care to be here. Okay. And so just avoid the multitasking. It's very easy to do, especially when we are off camera. We pick up and sometimes even when we are on camera, we end up reading a book. We do the to-do list for tomorrow. We think about the things that we need to do. Some people are ironing. Some people not even nearby the device any at all. They're cooking, they're washing, they're doing all kinds of things, and then you miss out on certain things. So as much as is humanly possible, stay focused, avoid the multitasking. And this one we all know, mute. Mute is your friend. If you are not talking, ensure that your mic is muted, all right? So when you mute your mic, it does several things. One, it it closes off the home noises significantly. Traffic noises, outdoor noises, people won't be hearing that and getting that kind of feedback. Animals barking, cats meowing, cow mooing, and all of that, that kind of noise is not brought into the meeting. And then there, of course, when you have your mic open and somebody else nearby has a mic open, there is that kind of feedback and echoes that comes into play. So when you mute your mic, it does all of that. It also shows a certain level of respect for the person who is talking. Because when your mic is on and you're doing your thing, it means that you're not paying attention to what's happening here. And accidents do happen, mistakes do happen. There are times when your mic come on, because you accidentally touch something. That's fine. Once you recognize it, turn it off as soon as possible. Okay. And when you are going to talk, remember to unmute. I don't know how many have been in the position where you're talking and somebody has to type in the chat, you're muted. So remember to unmute when you're going to talk. And when you're finished, mute yourself again. All right. Now, the COVID has brought us home for most of our meetings now. And whereas we don't have to turn the camera on most time, and we certainly don't have to get dressed as if we are going out on the road, it does help for you to put yourself in that frame of mind. So if you are at home, be properly attired. Get up out of the bed, comb your hair, wash your face, brush your teeth, put on some clothes, even if it's just the top. You can have on a shorts or a pants or a skirt or nothing at all downstairs, but make sure that for the top, which you're going to see, you're appropriate. And then, whereas I say you can have on a skirt or something like that, shorts or pants, make sure you have something on, because we have heard those horror stories where people get up and they realize that all they have on is underwear, and in some horrifying cases, nothing at all. So make sure that you have on something that is appropriate for your meeting, for your session, for your academic gathering at the top, that you look pleasant. You don't have to go put on makeup. Just ensure that you look fresh and alert and ready to listen or to offer to what is being said. And then for your lower half, you can have on your pants, you can have on, a shorts, you can have on a skirt, but please make sure you have on something, especially if you have to get up suddenly from the screen. Okay. And we have already familiarized ourselves a little bit with the reaction features. Now, the video that I'm about to play, let me pause it. I thought it summarized this so beautifully. I sought permission so that it could be shared. Did you all hear a little sound just now? I'm sharing my sound, but I just want to make sure that you heard. I am going to press play and you use the reaction button to tell me if you are hearing okay. All right, so that was just a little humor in the whole matter of basic etiquette and reminders if you're going to be using an online platform. Now, I am going to go into some tips and tricks, and then I will address the matter of the mobile devices, and then I will take any questions that you may have. All right. Now, there are some things that you can do to enhance the whole interaction with your participants. And again, I use participants loosely to mean whether you're using it with students or if you're using it with other persons for presentation purposes, webinars, and so forth. one of the things that you need to do is to be prepared physically, and that we just touched on. Ensure that your camera can be turned on, whether or not you're presenting, make sure that you are prepared, you look physically ready for an engagement, for a session. Ensure also that your video, your audio and your the whole imagery looks good. Now, what do I mean by that? If you're going to be using a video, ensure that the video quality is good. Ensure that you use the optimized video aspect if the quality isn't that great. Ensure that if you're using a virtual background, the virtual background isn't too pixelated, that the image quality that you're using, if you're sharing images, you're screen sharing and you're sharing images, that the images aren't pixelated, that they don't have watermarks running through them, that you have a decent quality image and video that you will be sharing with your students. As much as possible, go for what they call vector images. Vector images, you can zoom them, scale them as much as possible, and they don't lose quality. And if you are with COVID and everybody going on into the online space, the whole matter of using other people's material becomes even more public. Once you could use these things in a presentation that you show in front of somebody in a physical setting, and that is it. When we go online and we're using other people's things, we have to be now very mindful of the information that somebody created this, and give acknowledgement for that. Say that the video is from here. You have some sites that say you don't have to give any kind of acknowledgement, but most of them do. And even for things that I buy, I tend to say, oh, my images are from Graphic Mama. My image here is from Graphic Mama. It's something I pay for. I don't have to do this, but I still tend to say this is where it comes from. Ensure that your audio is also quite good. So if you're going to be using your mic, make sure you test the quality of your audio. Make sure that your students can hear you clearly, that you can hear yourself clearly. If you're using headset, using headphones, ensure that those are working and working well. If you're going to be sharing audio, whether the audio is a standalone or the audio is in a video, ensure that you check the quality, check that it works, check that everything is okay. All right. Explore the video settings. We did a little peek into it, but again, if you're having a night session and your lighting at home isn't that great, ensure that you explore your video settings, and especially where the adjustment of the light is concerned. And if you can get a lamp, right now I have my light in front of me, based on the fact that I have a little lamp set up right behind my laptop. So that gives me light coming towards me. So that is a good idea if you have that option, if you're doing it in the night. If it's in the day and you can find a window that you can face, that is also a good idea. In addition to the video settings, use the waiting room, especially if you're having a session with persons who may share the link or the information with others. So you have a kind of registration system going on, and you screen who comes into your room, especially depending on the type of session that you're having. All right. So if you're using Zoom for, say, meet exam purposes, you probably want to ensure that you screen who comes in, and if you're having something like this where it's a paid session, or there is a membership fee attached, use a waiting room, and consider a password too, if you can, to use with your setting. Explore the Zoom apps. There are a number of exciting and very functional and practical apps there. And test it out. Test it out. Get a couple of persons, say, I'd like to test this out. Are you game? Set something up and try it. Okay. Learn the keyboard shortcut. Did you know that there are a number of keyboard shortcuts? So when you're sharing your screen and so forth, you realize that there is that Zoom ribbon that is always there, and you have to be moving it across the screen left and right and so forth. If you know or get to recognize that you can also use keyboard shortcuts, it makes that kind of fumbling a little less obvious. So if you want to mute, you would use Alt A if you're on a Windows device, and you'd use the Command A, I think it is, if you are on a Mac. So, and you don't have to learn these by heart. If you're in Zoom, you simply just pass your cursor over each of the icon and you will see the shortcut key right there. So right now, for those of us who are still here, just pass your cursor over participants, pass it over chat. Well, I didn't see anything come up for chat. Pass it over the share, pass it over the anything there, and you will realize that there is the description of it, but there's also the keyboard shortcut. So that is something worth looking at as well. If depending on the session that you're having, you may need to pin or spotlight their video. Now, what is the difference between pinning a video or spotlighting a video? Does anybody know? Hello? Am I being heard?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, wonderful. Do you know the difference between pinning and spotlighting a video?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, when you pin a video, all right, and in fact, I want everybody to try this. When you pin a video, what happens is that you click on it and you will see pin. When you pin it, it means that you see the person who is speaking or who you have selected. And that person remains on your screen until you remove the pin. When you spotlight, it means that you have put the person who is speaking as the main person for everybody. So if the version of Zoom that you're using allows you to have a spotlight, it means that when you put the spotlight on, everybody sees the person who is presenting. When you pin, you see the person who is presenting, but you're the only person who sees that person. Okay, so that is the difference. Now, sometimes you want to pin because you want to pay attention more to what is going on, what the person is showing or holding up, if the person is holding up. If it's a case where you know that you're in a session and there are people who are going to be pinning and not paying attention, you can simply use the spotlight to force everybody to pay attention to what is going on based on what the speaker is saying. So that is something that you can consider as well. Look into the camera every now and again, just as how we tend to talk to people and we move our eyes, we move our hands, we look up into their faces every now and again, do the same thing. What that means is that you look up into the camera, you look where the light is on the camera, and you don't hold it there. It's very unnatural for you to just keep staring into the camera, because when we're talking to people, we don't look into their face nonstop. We look away, we look up, we do these things. Make it as natural and as human and and as much as possible simulate the real thing when it was face to face. So every now and again, you look up into the camera to make that kind of eye contact, and then you continue doing what you would do, just as though you would do it in your face to face. Ensure that when you set up, you are on your computer is just about eye level. If you need to prop it up, so right now my computer is on a ream of paper. So I have a ream of paper and then I have my computer, so that I'm not looking down into the computer, I'm looking more across. All right. And that makes it easier for me to look at you. And don't come too close up into the camera either. It makes it intimidating. Maintain enough distance, because if you were talking to somebody, you wouldn't be going down into their face like this now, would you? And then be staring, unless this is a staring contest. So ensure that you have enough distance between you and the screen, so that when you see the preview, it looks as a decent speaking distance between you and the person. All right. And then use your virtual background strategically. Ensure that You use fewer videos as your background, especially if you're having internet issues and internet wars. So use your virtual backgrounds very strategically. In cases where if you're going to have a group of presenters, whether they are seminar presenters, webinar presenters, or students who are doing presentations, if you have a themed background, use it. Just as how we have virtual background that we're using. If you can create one, you can create one, or you can source one. Look for something on the internet, virtual backgrounds, Zoom, or just virtual backgrounds. And for those of you who computers may be a little bit dated or don't allow the use of virtual backgrounds, find a plain background. So I tend, when I'm in my living room, I tend to find an area where there's just the plain wall. Once I made a mistake of sitting where some photos are and persons were there looking and saying, is Miss McCoy husband that? And is it what kind of award that? And therefore the attention is turned off you completely because people are now focused on what is going on in your background. So if you can find a plain wall, try and use a plain wall as much as possible. Failing that, you can get a backdrop. I bought a backdrop on Amazon. I thought it was reasonable. It's a bookshelf. Most persons thought that it was a real bookshelf. And I just put it over the wall and I set up right there, and that works as well. So think about different ways that you can use backgrounds, whether virtual or physical or a plain wall, to ensure that the focus is on what it is you're presenting or whatever it is your presenters are sharing, and not so much on what is happening behind you. Okay. Use your reactions, use your reactions to big up your students, big up a presenter, to say slow down, to say you agree, to give an applaud, an applause. Use your emotions as much as possible. And to engage, in addition to the apps, you can use the polling feature. And the polling feature is great when you're starting a session, when you are in the middle and you just want to do a quick check, when you are wrapping up. So you can use it for enhanced engagement with your participants and with your students. Now, sometimes we get kicked out of sessions. If you are the host, you can assign co-hosts, okay? There can only be one host, but you can assign several co-hosts. Co-hosts have most of the roles that the host have, and therefore the co-host can assist in muting mics for mics that are open, in sending messages, in checking information, in controlling the waiting room, and so forth. So it's like, shared responsibilities, but there is one main leader and then their assistants. So you can use the co-hosting. Most of these things that I'm telling you about, you have to also ensure that they are enabled or activated on the Zoom website, because even though you are downloading the app to your device, you will, if you are the host or you are the person who owns this, you need to ensure that you have gone through it on the website and have ensured that you have selected them or made them active or enabled them to ensure that they work on the system. Okay? Be prepared to present or to participate. So sometimes we come to a session and we just decide that, oh, I'm just here to listen and to get the credits, the professional development credits, or to get the participation certificate or so forth. Come prepared to participate, okay? Come with your mind alive, your whole system ready to listen and to engage and to do some of the things that you're learning or hearing about. If you need help, ask for it. Okay? If you need help, ask for it. I ask for help when I need it. So if you need help, if there's something that you're having a little challenge with, there's nothing wrong with seeking assistance. Just make sure you do it early enough. Okay, be mindful of Zoom fatigue. So it is real. It is a virtual fatigue that comes from going non-stop. Okay, looking at a screen for extended period of time, not getting up and moving away. So this is one of the things that we need to remember. And where possible, you take these little breaks. So you get up, you stretch, you look away from the device. So there's the 20-20-20 rule that says every 20 minutes you look away for 20 seconds and as far as 20 feet, you know. So it gives you a little break from the constant looking at the screen. And then where possible, you say, okay, if you're sitting down, just get up for a little bit, move around, stretch, take a water break. And these are for longer sessions. Okay, if these are teaching sessions and you have your students, be mindful that they have several of these sessions in a day. And so if you can give them after 40 minutes a break to stand up to, you know, a 2 or 3 or 5 minute break, do so. Again, depending on the length of your session and what it is that you aim to do. And have a dry run. Do a dry run from start to end. Do your sharing, do your even if you have to jump parts, but make sure everything runs as much as possible. If you are using links, test the links. If you're sharing screens, share your screen. If you're going to be asking questions, ask questions. If you want your participants to share, have somebody try that to make sure that your platform is working and is doing well. I think this is the last of it. Yes, it is. So that is it as for the basics of the whole matter of sharing tips, considering some things that you can use. It's also the matter of, you know, recognizing what different features there are, some of the things that we need to bear in mind and so forth. I did tell Sadoya that I'm going to give her a few and others who want to know a piece of information regarding the mobile version. I'm also going to try and log in to Zoom on my phone so that it makes it a little easier for me to walk through. While I do that, are there any questions, anything that you need to get cleared up before I go into the mobile device aspect?
I have a question, Madam Michelle.
Go ahead.
I have realized, so I'm asking, is it that these persons don't know I've joined many sessions, and as a presenter in the session, they make you co-host and say, oh, you are able to share because you're co-host, but we don't actually need to be co-host to share. Is it that the
Right.
persons who are doing that don't know?
It may be. It may be. That may be the case because the co-hosting does not mean that you can share. It's just a matter of turning on the participant sharing that allows you to share. So you don't have to be a co-host to do that. So it's quite possible that they think that co-hosting means that you're sharing.
Thank you. There's a question for you in the chat.
All right, go read for me, please.
I'm coming. I just missed it. It says, how do you change the background for the Zoom meeting?
All right, so to change your background, you would go across to where your video icon is. You click on the up arrow and there you will see choose virtual background, choose video filter, video settings. You would click on choose virtual background. Okay, when you do that, it opens a window for you and it gives you some options. So by default, there are a few options. You know, you have a video, you have, so when it says none, that is what it would look like, or whatever your background looks like. And then if you select blur, it gives you a little blur, as you can see. If you click on the ones that are there by default, it gives you the backdrop. So you can just click and look at all these different ones that are there. You can also upload your own. All right. So the ones that we got from the organizers, we had to upload. And this, of course, I had shown you before, I had uploaded. So what you do is, in order for you to add one that is new, different from what is there, you would go up to the top, you'd ensure that it says virtual background, because there is virtual background and there are video filters. So make sure that you have highlighted virtual backgrounds, and then you move across to the right where you will see a plus sign. The plus sign, when you click it, will give you a little drop down that asks if you want to add a video or add an image. It depends on what it is you want to use for your background. So in this case, we are going to add an image. So you would click on add image. And by default, what it does, it opens a folder, a browsing area, so that you can look for the background that you want to put in. So you go to the folder where you know has some things, and you click on the one that you want. You can double click or you can click once and open. And then there it is. So I just clicked on something here so that you could see how that works. So you simply go to your video, click I'm sorry about that. I clicked the off video. Click on the virtual background, look for the video that the image you want, or click the plus sign to search for one and upload it. And then you click the X button. You don't have to click enable or start. You just select it and it is automatically there. Okay, no problem. Now I'm trying to connect to the Zoom so that on the phone, so that I can walk Sadoya through, but it's not allowing me at all. My data is on, but it is just not connecting. But based on what I remember, Sadoya, and for the others who may have this question, and I can double check it and put something together, and Cheryl, you can send it out for me, please. But the Zoom interface on the mobile is slightly different. All right. So you don't have the options at the bottom as much as you see on the laptop or on the desktop. What you usually have to do is do some scrolling across. So I think the first icon that you see says that you should tap to speak if you want to speak. In that case, you would, especially if you have headphones in, it automatically goes into safe mode because it assumes that you're driving. So there is a button that you tap to speak. If you scroll across it, then I think that is where it gives you the participants. And if you just swipe up at the bottom, it allows you it allows you to see some other options. And to the right, the bottom right, you will see 3 dots. If you click the 3 dots, it should open more options. I think you can scroll 4 times on the phone if to give you the different windows where you have things. All right. On the main screen, on each of the screen at the very bottom, if you touch the bottom or you just barely scroll up a little bit, it will show you your participant, your audio, your video. And I think it is in the 3 dots that it also allows you to share files. I will double check as soon as I can log into the phone, and I will just put something together for you, Sadoya, and for anybody else who wants to have the Zoom aspect on the mobile, on your mobile device. I didn't focus on it because I was focusing on the laptop or the desktop, whether Mac or Windows. I didn't focus on the mobile, but I will do a little bit of work. I'll log in and then I'll walk you through. Okay, Sadoya?
Okay, sure. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
There
I
was
saw
one
some.
follow-up question, Michelle.
Right.
I'm assuming the question was about the picture for the background. It's saying, is it only on the paid version of Zoom?
No, no, no. And this is one of the things that I love about Zoom is that it gives the free version gives you quite, it's, as I said at the beginning, it's very feature heavy. So you have a number of features in both the paid and the free version. So you changing your background to anything you want, that is in both the free and the paid option. The remote control, I had forgotten about that completely. I'm going to share my screen again. So this time I'm just going to pull up anything. All right. Now, when you're sharing, there is an option in the free as well that you can give or ask where remote control is concerned. It allows somebody to take control of your device or you take control of somebody's device. Okay, I need a volunteer, somebody ideally who is on a laptop or a desktop. I'm not sure how well it would work on the mobile. May I have a volunteer, please? Nobody? Come on, you get a chance to
Pick
play
somebody,
with my
teacher. Pick
computer.
somebody.
All right, so let me look at the participants. Aisha, Aisha, are you on a laptop? Aisha Elliott?
Sorry, good night. No, I'm not.
Um, Barbara, are you on a laptop? Barbara Brown. All right, you know what, Cheryl? I am going to use you.
I am on a laptop. Go right ahead.
Oh, okay. So if I am sharing a screen, so I'm going to go back in and share my screen. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. If I go up to the top right while I'm sharing, there is something that's called remote control. If I click on it, oh, I can actually select who I want to share with. But
Okay.
I didn't know this part. If I look for Cheryl and I click on Cheryl, you are supposed to, Cheryl, you got a message on your side, yes?
Sorry, talking muted. It's a talking muted. Sorry, just now.
Did you get a message?
I don't know. I don't see anything.
It says that you can control my screen.
Oh, really?
Right. So my hands are up. You can do what you want on my screen. So that's you moving
The mouse.
yes.
Ah.
And you can
Oh.
click, if you want, you can click inside of one of the text boxes. So click in one of the text boxes. You're in the middle of the screen, right? So click in one of the text boxes. My mouse is on the text. So where it says use the polling feature, click inside that box.
Wait, I need to get my glasses because I'm so not seeing that. Poll everywhere. I'm seeing that.
No. So on my screen, it says video conferencing tips and tricks.
Right.
And then it says use the reactions to show your click inside and take off you can remove the word emotions completely.
Really?
So delete it, yes. Okay,
wow.
so this is a very useful tool, especially if you have persons having issues. You can take control, you can give control of your screen, or you can take control of theirs. It's one of the cool features that Zoom has, and it's also in the free aspect. Okay, and then when I'm finished, I can just simply say I want to stop remote control, and the person cannot use your computer anymore. So that is
you can see me
else.
dancing. I've learned something.
So that is something else that is useful. Again, especially if, let us say that, you know, we complain that the hands-on, the practical courses don't allow this and so forth. This is one way for you to have something, and you say to the students, okay, the patient is having a toothache. This is the mouth. Show me which one of which one of the teeth here is the problematic one. And you give remote control to whoever student you assign it to, and they show you where the problem is. Okay, it's not ideal, but it's something that have them, instead of you saying this is the tooth, here it is, and you show it to them, they can do the selection and they can engage more. So this is something else that This is something else that I wanted to share with you, the remote control aspect. And again, depending on the version that you have, the type of paid, whether free or paid, the type of paid version that you have, and the features that you have enabled from the web interface, the platform interface, you can do wonders with your online platform. Just be mindful that there are some basic etiquette. You know, be on time, mute your mic, turn on your camera, look prepared, be engaging, ensure that your background is appropriate, you know, those little things. And of course, make sure that you're prepared. If you're a presenter, make sure that you have done the test, the dry run, that you check for you know, grammar errors, language and mechanics. And of course, the usual things that I tend to tell my participants: acknowledge people's work, if you know, people's whose work you have used, and make sure that you are consistent in what you do. So when you're doing your presentation, have a color scheme. Make sure you're consistent in the types of fonts that you use, the type of music, the types of images. You know, think about these things. Don't mix the colors too much. Think about what colors go with what. And even for your what you wear, ensure, they tend to say that bright solid colors, you know, bring across the feelings of confidence and passion and excitement. And then again, depending on the kind of backdrop you had. Earlier I had on a polka dot top, but I was blended in with the background and everything was absorbing me. So as much as possible, ensure that you have a solid color in dark blue, black, green, that sort of thing. Or if you're going for something that pops or has patterns, ensure that the background that you use is a solid background. You know, little things like that. And if you work on this a little at a time, one of the things that I tend to tell everybody, it was ambition that killed Caesar. So you start small, one little thing at a time. Don't try to put everything in at once. Start small and add a little at a time. And don't be afraid of trying something. Ask yourself, I wonder what would happen if I did this. There is control, undo exists, and you can't really break the internet like that. So ask yourself, what would happen if I were to do this? Let me try something here, and find something that works for you, that you're comfortable with, but make sure that you start somewhere and you progress. The whole matter of us in engaging online is going to be here. Even if we become COVID free and go back to face sessions, you are going to find that there will always be the need for online platforms for this kind of engagement and interaction, whether with your students or other participants for other reasons. So I just want to wrap up here, if there are no other questions, and say, get
McCoy,
yourself, you're
there was
welcome.
a request in the chat
Right?
for you to go over the aspect of the controlling the screen, somebody else's screen, one more time.
Okay, who wants to volunteer for this one? The person who asked for me to go through it, are you on a laptop or a desktop?
Good night. I'm on a phone, and I just want to hear the steps at the
All right.
beginning where you go to.
You want to test it if it works on the phone?
Okay, let's see.
All right. What's your name?
I am Sandria.
Sandria. All right. So I need your name, Sandria, because I need to look for you when I'm going to hand it over to you. All right. So you are Sandria. Sandria who? I'm sorry?
Tomlinson.
Tomlinson. So I am looking for Tom. There you are. So Sandria, I have clicked remote control. So you should have access to my computer now. Did you see anything that shows that you're controlling? You're moving my mouse?
Oh, what I see here is a little mouse, and then I tap on it, I see a question mark, and I also see an icon for a keyboard. So
try something. See, so you are moving my mouse. My hands are here. So yes, you can do it on the phone. So what would happen is that if you're the person doing the presenting, you would give control to somebody else, and it gives you the list of everybody who is in the room, so you can give them access to your. If somebody else is sharing, I can click on the same remote control and you get something that says Michelle Stewart McCoy wants to take control of your device. And I think it says you should give access, and then I would have control. So it works both ways. And now we know that it works perfectly on the phone, the mobile device as well. There you go.
Awesome sauce. This is awesome.
Right.
Right.
And you can, you can fool around it a little bit, and yes, that's it.
Okay, but if I want to give somebody control of my screen, what are the steps?
Okay, so you would have to be sharing your screen. So that's the first thing. In order for somebody to get access, you have to be sharing your screen. So once you're sharing your screen, you will see something that says remote control. All right, so that little panel that tends to come up at the top, which has, participants and so forth, and you have to be moving it out of the way. To the right, you will see remote control or somewhere there. It may be, depending on the size of your screen, you may have to click the 3 dots, and when you click on more, it will show your remote control, but you will see remote control. And if you want to give access to somebody else, when you click on remote control, what happens is that it gives you a list of the persons who you can give your remote control to. And you simply click on that person and they would have control. It's the remote control would change to remote controlled, which means that somebody else is now controlling your device.
Wow, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anything else? All right, so I do hope that this was useful in one small way or the other. I do hope that even if we are experts, we have found something else that we can use with our participants. And again, I use the word participants very loosely to mean members who are engaging in the online platform with you, whether students or otherwise. I do hope that, if you are not very comfortable with it or your confidence level is not as high, that this will help you to make another step, and just take it one step at a time. Take it easy. I don't expect you to, if you didn't know this or weren't comfortable before, to do everything in a semester. But start small, but start, okay? And if you need help, reach out to somebody in your unit, reach out to me in the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. That is what I am here for. Ask for a one-on-one consultation. I am here to walk you through, to hold your hand, to breastfeed you if needs be, until you are comfortable enough to move off on your own. But ask for help and use the tools. Engage your participants, engage your students, use it. And explore, enjoy the process as you go along. All right. So I want to wish you all the best. Congratulations again on the Mary C. Cole Day. And this has been quite entertaining and enjoyable for me. And thanks a million for having me.
I want to say thanks very much to Ms. Michelle Stewart McCoy. This was indeed an awesome presentation, I can tell you. I have learned quite a lot, and I am sure this goes without saying for a number of the participants. And it was really and truly interesting, some of the things that can be done with Zoom. I am on my phone, So I realize certain features are not there, but I am definitely going to check it out on the computer. So in terms of the green screen and so forth, I'm not seeing such a feature on the phone, but I will definitely be checking it out. And, it was, really and truly interesting. And I want to say it was a pleasure that, you took this time to come and share and impart your knowledge with us. I will now hand over to our president, who will continue, Mrs. Cheryl Garriquez Lloyd, um, with the rest of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. Thank you so much, Mrs. Michelle Stewart McCoy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Stewart McCoy thinks you're all from UE. Madam Michelle is now for some people going to send me some message through the emails to say, how could we get her to do a presentation? Never mind, ladies, we are going to draft her in for some other things, because no matter how much you think you know, there's something new to learn. And I think Sandra joined me in the happy dance because we found something else to engage our students just a little bit more, and for others to make presentations more interactive. So thank you so much. The comments are the same here and on YouTube about a very timely and excellent presentation. We've been using mostly Zoom, for some companies, maybe other things, but I think for the majority of us here, maybe mostly Zoom. And it's amazing that there are so many small things that a lot of us still don't know, but there are other things I would mimic you and say, go on it when you have the time, not when you're in a session or have a meeting or a presentation. Just click some things, take your time and figure it out. What you didn't share with them this time, I wanted you, if you can, just as before I close off, I think would be about the features where you're able to get your lipstick and your face and your thing on Zoom. So if you're not so 100% prepared, you can use that too, and nobody knows because it moves with you. So I don't know if you're able to find that and just show them really quick.
Okay, I never figured that would be one of the things you wanted, but no problem. When I was talking about the video settings, if you click on the little up arrow and you look on choose video filters, I had actually taken you through the filters aspect of it. Okay, so you have these where you can click on them for the video filters. But to the right of that, at the very bottom, you will see something that says studio effects. And as Cheryl rightfully says, sometimes you're leaving from one session, going into another, and you look a little bit haggard and so forth. You can do a little bit of touch up. It's a studio, all right? So you will have, I think it has 3 sections. Yes, 3 main sections. So at the top, it has eyebrows, all right? Now my eyebrows are thin. Some persons have thick eyebrows. Some people love thick eyebrows. You can actually click on the eyebrow. I don't know if you noticed that I now have eyebrows. And if you click on the color, you can decide the color of the eyebrow that you want. And then you can decide how opaque or you want it. You can go as transparent as you want or as opaque as you want by simply scrolling across. And then there are different colors. So you can change the color of the eyebrow as well. And there's a color wheel that if you want to go, let's say you're doing it for maybe a makeup class, you could change it to something like green, I don't know. I'm just fooling around with the colors here. Or if you don't want that, you simply click none. All right. For males, or again, if you're in, say, a makeup session or you're looking at, that sort of thing, there is the mustache and beard. So if I wanted a mustache and a beard, oh my goodness, I have it right there right away. You can click on them. And again, as with the others, you can decide to make it obvious. You can choose the color and you can decide how opaque or how transparent you want. And there are different types that you have. So you can fool around. Oh my goodness. That's of course for males. And then for us females, if you want to put a little lip color on, you click on the color and you make it as bright as possible, or you make it as dark as you want, as light. and you have a number of colors that you can fool around with, and you move the opacity, so you decide how opaque you want it, so that you can then have your lipstick going on. And if one of the things that I like about it, I'm just going to put a little eyebrow on. One of the things that oh, it's still green, no? There we go. Is that if you, once you do that and you close off, it moves with you. So you notice that I open my mouth and the lipstick doesn't, it's as if it knows exactly where the mouth is located. If I move my head up and down, my eyebrow doesn't stay one place and my face moves. So it's one of the things, it's intuitive. That's the word I was looking for. So on those very late days when you have gone all day and you are to pop into a meeting and they tell you that you need to turn your camera on, this is something that you can use. Your technology indeed. It is also something for like cosmetic classes. If you have one of those classes where students are learning about makeup and cosmetics, this is a safe way for them to also practice and use that kind of technology to show you immediately right there and then what it would look like if you were to do something like this. So there you go, Cheryl, that little aspect. And let me take my lipstick off. But that is what
Thank
would
you so
happen.
much, Madam Michelle. So I
Okay.
got my purple lipstick, as you can see, and I'm coming
Nice,
live from the
nice.
studios of JBC on my anti and my analog TV screen. As you can also see, I went into the filter, right? So it's
Nice,
good
nice.
for re-demonstrating of what has been demonstrated. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Michelle.
you're
So
welcome.
you can see that the persons are saying the technology and what they've learned, because I can tell you, when I put on this lipstick, I'm like, look at this. No, I don't need to have lipstick. Very interesting. So we thank
Yes.
you so much over on YouTube. The comments are the same. Excellent presentation, very clear and very informative. So thank you. So as we close out today, as we have been doing, just a few reminders. We have some persons I know who would have paid and emailed us. They didn't get a chance to register because we've been closing the registration 24 hours before presentations. So it means that registration will reopen at 8 o'clock tonight and will close at 5 tomorrow, because our last presentation is on Thursday. So if you didn't register yet, remember to click on the link that you have and go right ahead and register. It helps our records, and we have to ensure we have your right name, what sessions you registered for, and we will cross-reference that with our register that we're taking to ensure the certificates are correct when they are going to be prepared. Reminding persons, again, we thank you so much for joining us. So Thursday is our last session. We have done 5. Number 6 is on Thursday. Listen to me. We're getting into some dangerous times, and now that we're heading into Christmas season, even more so. So we're inviting you to come on out. If you never thought you were coming on Thursday, just pay the $5 and come. If you're not interested in the paying per se, still join us on YouTube to get the information. We're going to have a lovely gentleman and his team that's going to be talking to us about basic self-defense techniques. And it's a matter of being prepared, some things that you need to do, how you're going to be able to observe what you can use as a weapon that you have already. So it's not only about worrying, to help you to realize some basic things that you can do to protect yourself, whether you walk, ride, take the bus, or drive. So join us on Thursday for the final session in our webinar series, where we're covering basic self-defense techniques. And tonight, although we're celebrating Mary C. Cole Day and we are bouncing off the walls, we want to acknowledge her on this day that I think it's her birthday today, and that's why we've gotten that from the Governor General. So we're asking you earlier at the start, for the persons who weren't here, sorry about that, but the questions were to name 3 other online platforms except Zoom and to share how to change your name on the Zoom platform. So we're going to ask Miss Angelique Nelson Bent, pop us a line at the omega.kappa.chapter560 Gmail so we can talk about how to get your prize. You are the person who got both answers first. I think Kanisha Smith should just beat you out because you answered both of them at the same time. So as we close off today, Just a quick reminder who we are and how awesome it is that we are recognizing Mary Seacole. We have the power, and we'll be reminded of that. 62 nursing students in 1922 went to the Indiana University Training School. This is in Indianapolis in the US, and they wanted a dream, something for themselves to recognize nursing merit and scholarship. They never saw that in the university. And these 62 young ladies had a little powwow, and they were able to create Sigma Theta Tau. It's now known as the Sigma Theta Tau International Honor Society of Nursing. Yes, the name is long, so we just call it Sigma. And they chose the names of Sigma Theta Tau because it came from the Greek words storge, tharsos, and time, which means love, courage, and honor. And they believe every single nurse should have all three of these qualities. So the vision of Sigma as it is now is to have connected, empowered nurse leaders who are transforming global healthcare. And the mission is that we are constantly developing nurse leaders anywhere so we can improve healthcare everywhere. Currently, Sigma has over 135,000 active members, all nursing students or student nurses or nurse leaders. We have over 550 active chapters, and we're across 100 countries. So think about it. If you're an undergrad nursing student, you have to be in a nursing program or an equivalent. They expect you to meet academic excellence criteria, should be in the top 35% of your class, and you should have at least done a half of it. We know in our region, we have some nurses who are RNs who didn't do our bachelor's. We were given certificates in our time. Yes, I'm in the old group. So if you're doing your upgrade to your degree, they're asking you to have at least completed 12 credit hours. If you've gone back to study as a nurse, a quarter of your curriculum is the criteria here: academic excellence and academic integrity. And if you're a nurse leader practicing, they expect you to be legally recognized. So you need to be licensed, should have a minimum of your undergrad degree. It can be in nursing or an equivalent field. And of course, they want to see the excellence. Our chapter is saying to you, if you're interested, because Omega Kappa is the only chapter in Jamaica and in the Caribbean at this time, don't worry, we're working on it. There's a space for every single one of us to shine. Application letter to say why you'd like to join, your latest transcript, and 2 letters of recommendation from your School of Nursing. If you're a practicing nurse leader, we want a letter from you as well, an updated resume or CV, and 2 recommendation letters, including one from your place of work. Now, people have to pay to join Sigma, and people usually ask about this and say why. So as it is, Sigma sets a rate for themselves, and then they allow chapters to be able to put a particular rate. We are classified based on the World Bank ratings, and Jamaica on that scale is a middle income country. So we are at 29. I think Sigma gives us 89.20 when you're just joining Omega Kappa. All monies get paid directly to Sigma because we will have to collect your information, put you into the system. You'll get an official invitation by email, and in accepting that, you also have to pay. Out of the money that gets paid to Sigma, they send a portion back to each chapter. So that helps the chapter to manage themselves financially. However, when you're going to renew, because it's an annual renewal, for us, renewal is $69.20. But if you're a student, undergrad or graduate, or you're a retired nurse, you only need to pay a half of the $89.20 to renew. These are some of the things that Sigma affords us to help with their mission and vision. Career mentorship, over 100 nursing professional development courses, and a lot of them are free. They have an extensive e-repository of research and presentations. They're all about building nurses and nursing. There are leadership, writing, mentoring, and other academies. Sigma has 2 of the highest rated nursing journals, the ability to apply for and access research grants. Networking. It has been amazing to meet and know so many people and to be able to reach out to them as a community of nurses for anything that we may need. To volunteer, don't worry about being here. Right now, I volunteer, and my volunteering includes that I like or comment on their Facebook or social media pages. And I also help with moderating one of the many communities, because on the Sigma site, there's a community for any specialization of nursing that you're in. So that's something to think about. There are nursing seminars, webinars, and conferences, annual sessions that they have, biannual sessions, things that are very important to share. And Sigma has gone ahead in the pandemic and they've opened their seminars to non-members of Sigma. So you will follow their pages on social media. It pops up. You can click to register. They're all free. It will ask you if you're a member. If you say no, it doesn't matter. You're still able to join. They'll tell you if you don't or you can't. And they also give CE hours for a lot of these sessions. So this is Omega Kappa. This was our chartering. We are 2.5 years old and we were chartered on the 30th of May, 2019. We are chapter 560 and we are geographically at the US School of Nursing, Mona. But our members, because we're the only one in the Caribbean, we have Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, the Bahamas. We have members from the diaspora in the USA. We have some members who migrated too and they're still with us, some in England. And we do have nursing leaders, we do have nursing students. And although we're only 2.5 years old, I want to say we're so proud because of what we've been doing. We've been recently awarded the Chapter Key Award from Sigma International, recognizing all the work that we've put in. These are some of the things that we're looking at. We're saying we need to ensure we're a part of Sigma's mission and vision. We're working on other benefits for our members to our chapter. So you have the Sigma ones, but what about our chapter? We are ensuring we're having participation in all the Sigma activities. We're collaborating and working with other healthcare groups, nursing groups, and NGOs to ensure we can meet our criteria and do the work that we want to. We thank you for joining us because this is helping to increase our visibility and we're trying to get some new members. We want to ensure we are impacting and making the change we want to see. Nursing excellence is what we believe in over here and we're getting others to come with us and changing some. So sigmanursing.org is where you can find all things Sigma. OmegaKappa.sigmanursing.org is where you find our website and our libraries there with information and it keeps you updated on activities. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Omega Kappa Chapter, Omega Kappa Caribbean. And for those on YouTube, you already know some of you over here as well. But if you didn't, now you do tell somebody, Omega Kappa Chapter of Sigma, like, subscribe. When you subscribe and we go live or we post, it notifies you and you'll be able to see what we have over there already and what we're gonna have coming out and send us a line at omega.kappa.chapter560@gmail.com. Last thing I have to tell you, every 2 years when we get our new international president, they have what is a call to action. So we just concluded because convention is every 2 years in November and our new president, Dr. Dion has been a nurse, I think he said for about 36 years. His challenge to us over the next 2 years is to be bold. And he's not talking about just nursing. He's pressing us to come out of the nursing silo, expose ourselves to some other areas. The 3 circles he has here are economics, technology, and conservation, all tied into health and healthcare. He's saying we need to know about economics and the science of decision making, how we're gonna implement, develop, and use some new technology, some positive technology, and we need to conserve and have stewardship of natural, technological, and human resources. He's reminding us that nurses as a voice together, we're the largest group of healthcare workers. And if we put our voices together, we can be a serious part of influencing decisions and creating the world we want for the clients that we serve. And he's reminding us that what it takes to be bold is to be informed with the facts, to have the knowledge, to step up and step out and shine in leadership, that we need to be fluent in economics, technology, and conservation. And as our name says, it takes love, courage, and honor. Thank you so much for being with us. Yes, we're going to miss you when we finish, but we have one more to go, so don't get sad yet. See you on Thursday and come prepared, just like today, to learn some things that will be helping us and others with our safety, so that you can learn some new things. And when you do this, like, you know, it's not like just watching the show, you're actually knowing what you're doing and how to use it if you need to protect yourself. Have a very good evening, everybody, and see you all on Thursday. Thank you again, Madam Michelle. Thank you to everybody who joined with us, and thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Have a good evening, everybody.
Evening, everybody.
Thank you.